That's not true. If there was a moment when Mr. Master was absent from the room, I could prove that it was possible for Mr. Gustavia to commit the murder. That's not true. Afternoon tea. Get fucked, bitch. Isaac Dover was alive up until the afternoon tea began. Ergo, that is the only time when Gustavia could have killed Dover. Prosecutor Edgeworth, are you satisfied? Sorry, but I am far from satisfied. Because I'm finally starting to see the truth behind this case. Are you saying you have found some evidence to show us the truth? No, there's no need to present any evidence. I don't believe in evidence. Since we can just have Mr. Gustavia tell us the truth. Ah, so this is where you use that, right? Indeed, and Mr. Gustavia, there's one thing I want you to tell me. I don't know about that one. I said, Mr. Gustavia, there's one thing I want you to tell me. No. What is it? During the finals of the contest, you made your desserts on your own. I wanted to compete for the title of the world's greatest pastry chef on my own merits. You're lying. If that was true, if that was truly the case, you would have competed on your own merits from the start. I want you to tell me why it was necessary for you to cooperate with Isaac Dover. During the contest 18 years ago, Mr. Gustavia collaborated with Mr. Dover. I wonder, what made them decide to cooperate in the first place? That's what I need to draw out from him, but... Oh god, that's so many pieces. It seems he pretends to meditate when things aren't going his way. First, I'll ask why he collaborated with Mr. Dover. The truth has been hidden for 18 years. That ends today. I don't think I can wait and see on that one. If he's just silent. Why did you decide to collaborate with Isaac Dover? So Dover and I were already acquaintances, even before the contest began. Since he was interested in the contest, we simply decided to enter together. Joining forces with a sculptor. You weren't confident in your own abilities? You know nothing about it. We wanted to make great works together. Wait. So Dover's son and my own attended the same elementary school. We all got along well from the start. Really? So were you going to share the title of World's Greatest Pastry Chef together? Wake up! As expected, he pretends to meditate when things aren't going his way. So, this should be simple. Anytime he meditates, just fucking hit him. Otherwise, just wait. Mr. Dover was a sculptor. I doubt he had any interest in the title of World's Greatest Pastry Chef. In that case, where did his true goal lie? Indeed, my goal was the title of the world's greatest pastry chef. However, so Dover's goal was the grand prize, the angel's recipe. I see, you cooperated because your interests were aligned. But there must have been a reason why your partnership soured. So, prosecutor, I am the victim of a poisoning. If you're going to suspect me in this manner, perhaps I'd better return to the infirmary. Wait a moment. In that case, you should end things soon. I'm not a patient man. Seems he's trying to leave. I can't let that happen. He's still hiding something. Next, I should ask him about his true goal. Juice me up. I need to keep the pressure on him while being cautious at the same time. Did you want to appear on Mr. Master's TV show? I believe it was called Shake and Bake, was it not? I'm pretty sure it's called A Piece of Cake. Would you really want to see me dance about while I make desserts? No, that probably won't be popular with the kids either. Exactly. I know my limitations. I have no interest in that kind of theatrical tomfoolery. So, prosecutor, you should think about what you're talking about before asking questions. I understand. I should refrain from making unnecessary statements. Fuck, I was just wondering. Let's read my opponent's emotions and reactions and strike with the right words. Didn't you have another goal besides the title? The title alone doesn't seem to have much value. How dare the likes of you insult the title of a confectionery artist? My only goal was the title itself. I had no interest in anything else. My dream was to become the world's greatest pastry chef. Just hold up. 18 years ago, I was lacking in design sense. However, things are different now. Oh. Are you saying you have improved at your craft? Exactly. For I've trained at the Republic of Zengfa. Hold up. We're just gonna keep holding. Holding formation. Holding. Yes, yes. At the time, I also studied Mr. Master's work. I would often watch his show with my son. So, you were studying Mr. Master's work to improve your own skills. If you had his recipes, perhaps it would have been easier for you to become the world's greatest. Also, I like that he just happened to watch the shows with his son, but he also forgot the name of the show. Come on, dude. Perhaps. The pastry chef's Sir Master's recipes were worth their weight in gold. Huh. If becoming the world's greatest pastry chef was your goal, you should have also been interested in the grand prize, the angel's recipe. The recipes of the world's greatest pastry chef. I would be lying if I said I wasn't interested. However, I wouldn't think that simply being interested would be a problem. I wonder about that. The angel's recipe's true nature was not for making desserts, but cures. And all of the contest, well, not necessarily cures. I mean, there's still fatalium in there. And all the constant participants should have been aware of that. Looks like I'm getting close. He isn't meditating anymore. Now to slowly but surely drive him into a corner. Just like a fucking boxing match. Just keep hitting him in the gut. Hit him. Next, I'll ask what he planned to use that recipe book for. Did you know the recipe book's value? The angel's recipe. Did you know its true value? Silly question. It contains Her Master's best dessert recipes. Any pastry chef worth his salt would want it. It seems I don't have enough clues to proceed with this line of questioning. Never mind, that's the other one. Maybe I should try another line of attack. Did you intend to win the angel's recipe and use it to make desserts? Of course. If I obtained the angel's recipe, I was going to use it in my training. I heard the angel's recipe was worth a lot of money. I don't know the exact details, but the recipe book was much more too valuable to be sold. You seem to know quite a lot about the angel's recipe. It was explained to all the participants at the beginning of the contest. Well, in that case, you must know about the angel's book's recipe. Fuck. You know the book's true nature. It's not a recipe book for desserts at all. Impressive, Sir Prosecutor. So you know the true nature of the angel's recipe. See, this guy's so much easier than the other fucking logic chess. Or maybe I'm actually just understanding the point of him now. The angel's recipe. Some have called it the ultimate recipe book. It contained formulas for new medicines that were not yet on the market. If you knew the recipes were actually formulas for new medicines, this could be a useful clue. Angel's recipe, blah blah blah, knew all those. Looks like that clue will come in handy. You know what the recipes actually were. You may have studied design in Zengfa. However, your skills in lying could use more work. You just said earlier that the angel's recipe contained formulas for medicines. You weren't interested in desserts. You wanted the medicine formulas. Did you need a new medicine? Now, why would a pastry chef such as yourself be so interested in medicine? Perhaps what you were really after was the information about the new medicine. My son is dying. I'm waiting for that line, okay? I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm waiting for it. I've underestimated you, Sir Prosecutor. Yes. My goal was more than just the title of world's greatest pastry chef. At the time, my son was ill. I needed the recipe for the medicine. Hey look, cancer kid. Your son was ill. Tell me more about that. To protect my son's honor, I can say no more. Judging by the worried look on his face, I must have struck a nerve. Next, I need him to tell me more about his son's illness. I don't have a son. I can't empathize like that. This is it. This will be my final move of the game. What was your son like? Recipe book have the only cure? Did the angel's recipe have the only cure? Yes. The medicine is being sold everywhere now. At the time, the recipe book was my one and only option. That's why I continued making my desserts without joining the others for tea time. So you weren't interested in Mr. Master was making. You sure seem confident in your chances of winning. I couldn't be bothered to pay attention to the other contestants' desserts. You had interest in Mr. Master's works. You just said earlier that you studied Mr. Master's works. In addition, if your goal was to win the contest in order to get the medicine formula, you must have been curious about the other contestants' entries as well. It was time to sample the other desserts during the contest, but none of their entries had any flavor. So I didn't want to eat any of it. I suspect I may have been a bit nervous as well. So everything he ate tasted flavorless. This could be a useful clue. What was your son like? What kind of person was your son? Ah, my boy! He loved the desserts I made. Did you enter the contest solely for your son? Sir Prosecutor, you could never understand the feeling a father has for his son. I wanted nothing more than to cure my boy's illness. Don't say I doubt that. Until the semifinals, my son would always drop by the contest venue to play. That's so. Wouldn't he get in your way? I doubt you had time to care for your son while you were challenging Mr. Master. It may be so, but I wanted to grant my son's wish. He said he always wanted to be the first to eat my desserts. Your son sounds very healthy to me. About your son. If he was so sick, wouldn't it be difficult for him to come and play with you? He just has like that assault thing, right? My son's illness. It wasn't life-threatening. That might serve as a clue. It's like it's gonna just be what Master had, right? I assume that's what it's gonna be. What was the name of your son's illness? Sir Prosecutor, how insensitive of you. My son was seriously ill. I will not discuss this with the likes of you. Looks like that clue will come in handy. But the illness wasn't life-threatening. You told me your son's illness was not life-threatening. Is there really a need to be so secretive about it? Like, it could be AIDS still. It's not life-threatening now. But still, I wouldn't want to talk about it. It was enough to keep him from living a normal life. That must have been difficult for your son. What, like diabetes? I tried everything I could to cure his illness. It wasn't fair to the boy. He could never taste the desserts he loved so much. Was he too fat? Was it a taste disorder? The angel's recipe contains a cure for a certain illness. A remedy that could also cure Mr. Master's taste disorder. What? He had it too? He had it too, I see. So your son suffers from a taste disorder. I didn't think you'd figure it out so quickly. In order to cure your son's taste disorder, you needed the recipe book. Wasn't that your true goal? It's as you say. Based on how he's acted up until now, it appears he's still hiding something. Looks like that clue will come in handy. Being unable to taste anything, regardless of what you eat, is such a bitter illness. That reminds me, didn't you say something similar earlier? None of their entries had any flavor, so I didn't feel like eating any of it, was it? Perhaps your son wasn't the only one who suffered from a taste disorder. Back to back. It's hard to imagine being a successful pastry chef without a sense of taste. Hey, Master was. Perhaps you really wanted to cure was to cure yourself. That's a completely ludicrous. 18 years ago, I made those desserts all by myself. Didn't you collaborate with Mr. Dover? Seems you've caught yourself in a contradiction again. Didn't you cooperate with Isaac Dover in the contest? You can hardly say you made a dessert all by yourself. Ugh. You must take great pride in your abilities as a pastry chef, but to betray your pride and cooperate with another contestant. You did it all to cure your own disease. Well done, Sir Prosecutor. It is as you say. The one with the taste disorder is not my son. It is I. Wow, you threw him right the fuck under the bus. No one knew. I've kept it a secret for 18 years. It doesn't matter how long a secret is kept. If you lie before me, I will expose it. Dane Gustavi and Isaac Dover were both trying to obtain the recipes for the new medicines. Gustavi to cure his conditions, and Dover most likely to sell that recipe book for money. For this reason, they entered the contest as a collaborative effort. And with that, checkmate. All of my HP! Logicked. I've never told this to anyone. Well done. As you say, I developed a taste disorder 18 years ago. Taste disorder? It was a severe disorder. I was unable to discern any flavor at all. It's the one illness a pastry chef dreads above all. Those symptoms sound a bit different from Mr. Master's taste disorder. Mr. Master's condition is known as hypoglycemia. It simply caused a decreased sensitivity to certain specific flavors. I'm sure it was caused Mr. Master so much pain. After all, no medication was available to cure it after 18 years. In order to cure your taste disorder, you would need a Mr. Master's Angel's recipe. And that's why you entered the contest, am I correct? That was one of my goals, but I still had my sights set on the title of World's Greatest. When it comes to desserts, making desserts, I won't lose to anyone. Even without the ability to taste, I still have the utmost confidence in my flavors. Oh. So I presume you also prepared your desserts in the finals with the intent to win. That goes without saying. According to what Mr. Shields told us earlier, that evaluation Mr. Gustavi's entry was. Up until the semi-finals, Mr. Gustavi's flavor and design were to my liking. Unfortunately, both the taste and appearance of his finals entry left much to be desired. Since the dessert you made for the finals was not rated highly in regards to flavor. Mr. Gustavi, you will tell us about how you made your dessert during the finals. Very well. Seems I must teach you upstarts a lesson. Sir Dover and I cooperated until the finals. I handled the flavor, he was in charge of design. However, for the finals, I wanted to challenge the master with my own skills. I helped Sir Dover make his entry, but I made mine completely on my own. That's not true. The flavor of my entry wasn't good enough. My lack of training is to blame. Like, that part's just not true. How about that, Sir Prosecutor? This is the truth of 18 years ago. I can't find any contradictions in his testimony. Impressed? Well, of course he isn't going to fess up that easily. This guy's been on the run for 18 years after all. Guess we'll just have to keep on pressing him until he breaks, eh? Yes. Indeed. Come here. You see that fountain? You're going in it. Yeah, that's fine. I agree. I think that's true. For the finals, I wanted to challenge the master with my own skills. That part's probably true. I has helped. The flavor of my entry wasn't good enough. Lack of own training. That's the thing. We have no proof that Dover helped with his. So if we go all through these, this one, that's fine. That's fine too. Like, I can't see what we could get out of this one. Like, you'd have to slip up and be like, well, actually, he did help me. But then that's just like a blatant contradiction. Like, I feel like he needs to explain this one a little bit more. Up until the finals, I heard that you received high praise for the flavor of your desserts. Was there some sort of accident during the finals? Like, I don't see why it would change. Nothing of the sort. I simply was unable to taste my work due to my taste disorder. My intuition must have been off. That's all. And was your intuition fine while making Mr. Dover's entry? How could there have been such a huge difference between the finals and the previous day? It's because his kid was tasting him. That was like the whole point of why his kid was there. We're not getting anywhere at this rate. Should I change the topic? Let's go about the semifinals. So, you're sure there wasn't anything different between the semifinals and the finals? Asking about Dover won't help. Yes, that's right. Aside from not cooperating with Sir Dover, the finals weren't much different from the semifinals. They were... Yeah, this one. Because I was gonna say, like, this kid showed up, which is why he was able to taste it. And so he could be like, yo, Dad, this tastes bland as shit. That was exactly why. There was another difference between semifinals and the finals. This photo depicts your son. We know he came to visit you up until the finals. That is correct. What does that have to do with anything? Your son, who always came to see you through the semifinals, was not present for the finals. And then it was only in the finals that your flavor judged poorly. I don't believe this to be a mere coincidence. No. I do think this is intentional. Your son's visit must have been very important to you, were they not? A father can work miracles when his son is watching. Why wasn't it your son watching? With my son cheering me on, I was able to make the most delicious desserts. Yeah, because your kid was fucking tasting them. That's why. Mr. Gustavia sure sounds like a good father, doesn't he? If that's what he's saying is the whole truth, one would say so. But just hearing his son's cheers wouldn't be enough to change the taste of his desserts. A confectioner, confident in his sense of taste, develops a taste disorder. It would have been difficult for him to maintain the taste of his desserts. Your son came to cheer you on. Was that really all he did? You seem very doubtful, Sir Prosecutor. In that case, I'll turn around and ask you. What else could my elementary son could have done besides cheer me on? Tasted him. I'm sure your elementary school son would have remembered the taste of your desserts. Of course, my old son always loved my desserts. In that case, he would have been able to taste test your desserts in your place. What did you say? Earlier, you told us that you had a taste disorder, right? I've never told this to anyone. Well done. As you say, I developed a taste disorder 18 years ago. No one else knew about your taste disorder. If Mr. Dover had found out, he would have ended your partnership. After all, you were in charge of the flavor. You good, buddy? Your son didn't just cheer you on. He also helped you determine if your desserts tasted correct. Oh, I see. Mr. Dover's desserts was made the day before, so it still tasted good. What you're saying is quite amusing, Sir Prosecutor. You say that my elementary school son assisted me as a taste tester. You are insulting my pride. Your pride? Sure, I had no sense of design 18 years ago. However, I wouldn't lose to anyone when it comes to flavor. You claim I would cast aside my pride and rely on my son? Don't get carried away with your foolish conjecture. You upstart. In that case, I'm sure your son can confirm if my theory is mere conjecture. Fortunately for you, I no longer have a son. He fucking died! What? After my taste disorder was cured, I went to train in Zengfa immediately. I said fuck him. During that time, I severed all ties with my son. What the fuck? What? Don't tell me. You'd even abandon your own son. That's not all. Even today, the whereabouts of his son are still unknown. The police have been searching, but they haven't been able to find any traces of him. You wish to confirm your theory? I welcome you to try. Desserts are the only things that are important to me. After regaining my sense of taste, my son no longer mattered. Holy fuck! Order in the court. Mr. Gustavia's actions are certainly inhumane. However, we are not here to judge whether or not he's a good father. Prosecutor Edgeworth, I believe this is your loss. After all, there is no evidence left from 18 years ago that could prove your theories. Mr. Edgeworth, is there nothing we can do? At this rate, we'll never find out the truth. Detective Gumshoe, where are those fucking results? Wonder whose blood it could have been. Ask Forensic to look into it, sir. Alright, I leave it to you, Detective. I entrusted Detective Gumshoe with the last piece of evidence. If only I knew who that blood belonged to. Miles, there's still one thing that's bothering Uncle Ray. Is Mr. Gustavia's only reason for coming to the art gallery to check on the body? If only he wanted to confirm the body's presence, he wouldn't have needed to open the case. That's right. Is there a way to prove this? There's one way. We just need the evidence from Detective Gumshoe. Prosecutor Edgeworth, what are you talking about? Mr. Edgeworth already gave away, sir! Huh. Just the person I was talking about.